Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. Now, the states of Arkansas, Maryland, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, and Tennessee have laws on the books prohibiting atheists from holding public office. Pennsylvania does not overtly ban atheists, but its law states that you can't be banned from office as long as you believe in God. These laws are clearly unconstitutional and would never survive a court challenge. They also show how backward some people can be. But the fact is, atheists aren't trusted here in America or around the world. People tend to believe, and since the great majority of people in the world are religious, although thankfully that number is declining, but religious people tend to believe that you can't be moral unless you believe in God, that you can't be moral unless you fear God's wrath. Now, despite this, there is a long historical record of religious people behaving completely immorally and atrociously. And there's not much of a record for atheists. But it's atheists who are looked at with suspicion. Barney Frank served in Congress as an openly gay man since he came out in 1989. But he didn't come out as an atheist until after he had left office. It really says something that being an atheist is considered to be more likely to damage your political career than being openly gay. But the truth is that an atheist decides on moral behavior based on its implications and consequences. A deeply religious person may decide that an act that everybody considers evil, such as mass murder, is not evil if he becomes convinced that God wants it. That means that in reality, atheists are much more likely to behave ethically than deeply religious people are. Most recently, for example, the deeply right-wing Christian Bush administration had no problem lying this country into a war with Iraq. And the fact that thousands of people on both sides were killed and wounded for no reasons does not seem to bother their consciences. But even if you set aside the question of morality, atheists question things. They don't just accept things without evidence. People of faith believe what they're told. As a result, our most devout party, the Republicans, have not changed their policies at all, despite the fact that they have been proven to be destructive and disastrous. They still believe in trickle-down economics, despite the fact that nothing ever trickles down. They still believe that tax cuts raise revenue, despite the fact that there's this thing called math, which says it doesn't. They still believe that forcing women to have babies is good, despite its clear contribution to poverty and child abuse. And they still can't wait for the next war, despite how disastrous the last two were. They believe that these things are good, and no amount of evidence is going to convince them otherwise. For too long, here in the U.S., our decisions have been made by superstitious people who believe the same things that our caveman ancestors did. We need to have decisions made by people who will base their decisions on evidence and facts. That's how you solve problems, not through belief. No matter what reservations anyone might have about atheists, here's an undeniable fact. Every single bad decision in the history of this country can be traced to a Christian. Thanks for listening.